So let's talk about cookies. You probably wonder why cookies are around and on that slide and what we're going to do with this. Well, you will see a demo where our Aiseedo artificial intelligence engine is piloting a small game. And basically, at the beginning, when it gets on a command of that cookie monster, it doesn't know anything. It doesn't understand what the game is about. It doesn't know what is the environment in which the cookie monster moves, and it has to learn everything by itself. That's artificial intelligence in action. About an environment and optimizing towards the only thing given to it, which is a score. The cookie monster is hungry, by default, the score goes down. It is eating cookies, the score goes up. It bumps into a wall, the score goes down. So the artificial intelligence engine that we have designed is able to understand the game from nothing and master it. So you can do this yourself, actually. If you go on aiseedo.com/demo/cookiemonster, you can try it out, and you can also play with it. Basically, the little guy here, that's kind of like the eyes going like that, is a cookie monster. Anybody knows about the cookie monster? It's an American concept, but it might have percolated through. Okay. So when I start, Aiseedo is going to start to pilot that game. So there is an Aiseedo brain plugged it into the commands of this game. And there it goes. And it starts by seeing what's around it, orange for cookies, black for walls. And that Aiseedo engine, artificial intelligence, has been trained for a little while before playing that game, but it basically has learned everything. And now it's able to accelerate towards cookie, slow down, bump a little bit at the beginning, turn, get towards the cookie. So what you need to know as well is that it has the memory of a goldfish, because we haven't yet completely stratified the code. But basically, little by little, it would also learn and remember what's around it. So why does it matter to you, you'd ask? Well, the first thing is really cool, but that's a very geeky comment. You can always look at, the tech part of it if you're interested. The reason why it matters is because if you think about this and apply it to something that matters to you, you can find plenty of opportunities. The first one is think about a drone. A drone might be looking for instance, a specific item in a field and needs to avoid bumping into obstacles such as trees and other drones, etc. So we would basically enable robots, drones, industrial robots, or consumer robots to behave on their own, to make decisions on their own, to learn about their surroundings. And this is groundbreaking for the state of the technology at the moment. Another example, which is a bit harder to understand, but yet if you think about it in a sense that the cookie monster learns about its environment, it's quite obvious. It would be assisted living for, let's say, an elderly person. So assuming that a cookie monster is just a brain that learns about the parameters of a flat of an elderly person and starts optimizing towards the well-being of this person. Optimize the temperature, the light, the electricity appliances, etc., etc. Now the goal of the cookie monster-like environment, which is the flat in that case, is to optimize for the well-being of the elderly. So that's another great example. And I'm sure by now you have a lot of examples that are popping up for you. I don't know how much time we have left. Wow, fantastic. So what I'll do is I'll hand it out back to you guys. There's a lot I could show you, but I'm sure you'll come and see us at the end. I could show you how it works in terms of a tech. Anybody interested in that? I can talk about this for a while. The tech part, not so much. Yes? Come on, don't be shy. Who's interested in a tech? Yes, thank you very much. So we are sending JSON messages. I should restart this, sorry. Didn't want you to be hypnotized because this is the moment we are. Yeah. So basically, you can see the comments that the Aiseedo engine is sending to the monster. So move, rotate with that angle, speed with that speed, etc. And this is the sensors information that the cookie monster is sending to the Aiseedo brain, Aiseedo engine, which is in the cloud. So that's basically, well, I bumped, I ate a cookie, this is my reward score, value, etc. If you take again the example of the assisted living scenario, well, all the sensors in the flat, the temperature levels, the light level, movement, presence in a room or another, all of this would be inputted to the Aiseedo engine, and then in turn, the Aiseedo engine would manage some of the parameters of a flat. So on the tech side, we are working with JSON messages. Anybody familiar with JSON? 1, 2, thank you. You've been raising your hand all the time. That's really great. And then we are sending these messages or receiving these messages over WebSockets. WebSocket, anyone? Yep, HTTP REST API is the alternative. So basically, you can plug this to your own website, to your own robot, to your own product, whichever you'd like to do. We've seen people interested in robots, drones, predictive maintenance for buses, web analytics, advanced web analytics, including prescriptive and predictive analytics, the ability to predict what a user is going to do, is it going to drop from your website, is it going to stay, and what can you do about it. And basically, what this Cookie Monster does, and that's real-time artificial intelligence, it's making experiments. It's trying something, say, okay, if I go in this direction and I bump, how is my score impacted? And therefore, what am I learning about this? It's kind of like being an entrepreneur. It's trying, making mistakes, making success, learning from it, and then eventually finds its own way in the world. I think this is just about it for the time. We would like to open up to questions. Yes.
Round of applause, please. This is because we're recording, and so that these guys can hear all the feedback later on. So who were you pointing at? First question, here. Yes.
Hi, my name is Susie. I'm from Black and White Capital. I would like to know who is your target market, the immediate target market, and how are you going to sell your product?
Yeah, so I won't say we want to dominate the world because it's not quite it. The quickest market at the moment is predictive maintenance, robotics, drones. And that's where we see the most customer demand.
Okay, but are you focusing on one particular, it seems very broad.
You mean in terms of segments?
Yes, I mean...
So the background for the artificial intelligence is people need to have data, they need to have real-time data. So it's not so much in terms of segment, it's about data governance and awareness of a given company about their data. So we find that some large companies have zero data that can be leveraged for the best, in which case we help them gather data and make the best of their data. Other companies are very small but have gathered a lot of data, like startups, and we can help them as well. It's not so much in terms of segment. What I've given you before were the fields, so robotics, Internet of Things, predictive maintenance for transport, for instance, but really it's about the data.
To your clients? How do you intend to sell it?
We have two areas. The first one is projects with companies as a consortium. That's how we gotten into some interesting field. The other one is just connecting with some of our personal network and network, and we had quite some success. So at the moment, we're in very early stages. We're a young company, and that has worked really well. People are super interested. So that's the early answer.
Any more questions, feedback?
So at the moment you've got one positive and one negative input which takes place in this, yeah. Right? One cookie and one bump. How are you going to optimize this out to deal with lots of different scenarios? And which route are you going to go down to optimize it for market? Because you've got to specialize at some point, right?
Okay, so 2 points. We don't have just two inputs. We have a lot. If you look at this, there's a sense of sight, a sense of touch, the sense of taste in some ways, and you could even have control from a player. So at the moment, we have several streams of inputs. The specificity of our engine is that you can add one more stream on the fly, and it will learn from it, which is what we didn't want to pitch about, but since you asked, it's the fact that it's super flexible in taking new inputs and adapting the model. The bottom line is you don't have to create the machine learning model. We do it for you with all of these inputs. I know you wanted to add something.
I was just going to make that point. There are multiple inputs here, and you can have as many as you want, and it will, if you know your machine learning, it'll also instantiate a new feature extraction neural net for you for each new stream that turns up. It's a streaming solution, which most people don't have. It goes with any new format of data, just adds it to the model. So in terms of that, that's all there.
You had a second part to your question, which I think we might not have addressed.
Yeah, which was, you have an engine here. How are you going to optimize it for one particular market, and how are you going to decide that?
So the beauty of the engine is that it adapts quite a bit. It adapts when adding a new stream. So not only the streaming data is real time, but the engine recomputes a model live. If you look at our website, there are functional specs right here from, what did I do? Right here from docs. you can go into the functional spec. There's the concept of designer. So the designer is a function of a computer, the little guy that says, okay, I'm going to build a model for this set of instances in my project, and based on the aggregate information it gets from all of these different instances, the model gets regularly updated. So this is how we dynamically adapt to different scenarios. We are not at a point where we can give you this and enable you to fine-tune, but we are at a point where we have multiple functions that we call topics. Forecast, prediction, suggest the best next action. It's extremely flexible in itself as well. We have been exploring quite a bit with different companies in different sectors, and what we're doing at the moment is figure out where it works the best, because we can't do everything. That has been robotics, Internet of Things, and predictive maintenance for transport. There's also quite some interest in connected car and self-driving vehicles, namely hazard avoidance. Our hands are full, but we will focus on one, do the one that works really great, and then start continuing the offer on larger scope.
Just one final question. Is it expensive to run with computers to power? Actually,
no, that's the beauty of it. If you had a guy creating this, so this is like 3 years of R&D. 3, my accent, 3, 1, 2, 3. And basically the way we've designed it is that it's easy to integrate, it's real-time reactive, and the price is not the price of a data scientist who would build that custom for you. We are based on subscription, which is proportionate to your usage and the type of SLA you want to get. Details we can talk about. Are you the representative of the Swiss embassy because you have the right colors?
No.
Any other question?
Oh, I'm coming to you, Andrew, at the back there.
Yeah, if I was doing that and I was the cookie monster, then what I'd do is I'd twist around where I am so that I could see what was around me, and then I'd move a little bit and then twist around again to see anything that was behind stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering whether when you leave it for a while and it learns what it's doing, it does anything less stupid than the blundering around that it does at the beginning, because it really isn't very efficient at going and getting cookies in any kind of order.
Okay, couple of points here. You have a fair point, but you need to understand a couple of things. The first one is for a computer to do this is actually quite interesting. This is similar to DeepMind, basically. The second thing is that Cookie Monster has no memory at the moment. It has a memory of a goldfish. So it turns around and then it says, right, based on what I've just gathered, what do I do best? And then it keeps moving and then it does it again. So as soon as we have put more depth into the memory, it will do that. But that in itself is, continuous R&D, and that's what we're working on. Do you want to add anything?
No, basically those 2 points. Yeah, the only system we're aware of in academia or outside would be Google DeepMind that does something similar. There was stuff in the press about it playing Atari video games last year, I think. But under the covers, that's completely different to the way ours stuff works under the covers.
I think we just got kicked out.
If either of you want to come and talk offline about the details of the model, happy to do so. And yes, it's an active R&D project to actually give it a bit more of a longer term memory. And then it would learn by itself to scan around first and things like that.
Although I don't want to pitch so much, we can discuss it a bit more, but focusing on the tech, what this really does is real-time deep learning. And that's adapting to real-time streams of data, the ability to add and integrate with a product or a system easily, JSON messages, etc. The ability to update the model, you don't have to create the model. So all of this is also part of the novelty of what we're offering. I agree with you, it won't work for all solutions. Sometimes simpler machine learning works great. Some other times statistics work great. We don't want to apply this to everything. Machine learning has its own positive and I don't want to say negative, but limitation. And knowing when to use that is one of the things that we are helping people with. Doing more and doing more memory, etc., is constant development for us. And actually, there's a third guy who's working in the background to do this at the moment. So yes.
Thank you very much. That is your time up. So big round of applause for these guys.